Welcome back to the Transformation Lab. You know what really stuck with me about the Metamorphosis? Even before Gregor turned into a bug, his family didn't really see him, not as someone with his own needs and feelings. And that's something we've all felt at some point. Misunderstood, trapped in a role, or cut off from the people around us. It's relatable. Today, you're going to reflect on a moment like that from your own life and connect it to the themes we've seen in Kafka's story. Your mission: plan a personal reflection that explores how a theme from the Metamorphosis connects to your own life. Make sure you've got your guided notes ready to go. So why make personal connections to literature? Well, stories like The Metamorphosis can teach us about ourselves. Even with the absurdity of the premise, that Gregor could just wake up transformed into a giant bug, we can still relate to his character. When you connect what happens in the story to your own life, it helps you really understand what Kafka was saying about identity, isolation, and societal expectations. And it can even help you understand your own feelings and the people around you a little better. That's what literature is for. Before we start reflecting, let's take a moment to look back at some themes we've seen in the Metamorphosis. We saw isolation in how Gregor was separated from his family, locked in his room, unable to communicate, completely cut off from everyone. Kafka shows that isolation strips people of their humanity. The more Gregor is cut off, the more he and his family see him as less than a person. Then there's identity. Gregor's entire sense of self, the way he saw himself and the way his family saw him, was tied to his role as the provider. When he couldn't work anymore, it was like he stopped being himself in their eyes. Kafka suggests that when your identity depends only on what you can provide to others, it can disappear as soon as you stop being useful. And finally, societal expectations. We saw the pressure of these expectations in the way the family acted. Always trying to appear respectable for the lodgers, always worried about money and what others might think. Kafka reveals how these pressures trap people in roles that deny their individuality and harm everyone involved. Now you need to decide which theme you want to reflect on. Personally, I think I relate to societal expectations the most. Which of these themes feels most relatable or relevant to personal experiences you've had? Pause and give this some thought. Check off the theme you want to focus on in your guided notes. All right, you've chosen your theme: isolation, identity, or societal expectations. Before you reflect on your own experience, let's take a closer look at how this theme actually shows up in the text. This step is important because it will ground your reflection in Kafka's story. Since I want to write about societal expectations, I think I'd pick this quote. This line shows how the family cared more about appearances and expectations than about Gregor, or their relationship with him, and how that pressure shaped everything they did. In your notes, you'll see a few key lines from the story listed for each theme. These are moments where that theme really comes through. Take a minute to read through the examples under your theme. Look for one that stands out to you, one that makes you think, yes, this reminds me of something in my own life, or even just one that you find powerful. Once you decide, mark your choice in your guided notes. Got your evidence? Now it's your turn to reflect. We've seen how Gregor and his family struggled with isolation, loss of identity, and societal expectations. We still struggle with these issues today, so let's think about it. For me, I chose the theme of societal expectations because during high school, I felt a lot of pressure from the outside world. Everyone in my family expected me to go into a career like my older siblings, something practical. But I really wanted to study theater. Anytime I brought it up, they'd kind of laugh and say, that's just a phase, or you'll grow out of it. It felt like who I really was didn't matter as much as what they thought I should be. Now it's your turn. Write about a time when you felt something similar to what Kafka shows through your chosen theme. Describe what happened and how you felt in that moment. We'll connect it to the text and theme more directly in the next step. For now, just focus on telling your story. Got your experience written down? Now let's connect it back to Kafka's story and the theme you chose. This is where you'll write a couple of sentences explaining how your experience compares to what you saw in the Metamorphosis. Think about how the quote you picked shows the theme in the story, and how that same theme shows up in your own life. For my personal reflection, I might write something like, one line that stood out to me was, the parents, who had never previously rented a room and therefore exaggerated their politeness to the lodgers, dared not sit on their own chairs. It shows the theme of social expectations, and I felt the same way when my family expected me to choose a practical career. Why? Because I don't think politely abiding by others' expectations or upholding a certain appearance is more important than daring to follow my own dreams. Now it's your turn. In your notes, write a few sentences connecting your experience to the theme and evidence you chose earlier. Use the sentence frames to help you structure your response. Great job today! You chose a theme from the Metamorphosis, isolation, identity, or the pressure to fit expectations, and selected evidence to showcase it. Then you described a specific moment from your own life when you felt something similar to what Kafka shows through that theme. And you connected your experience to the theme and the text, showing how literature and life can reflect each other. In your lesson materials, you'll keep working on the first draft of your reflection. Tomorrow, you'll revise and refine your work. Remember, this reflection is about noticing your own story in the themes we've explored and letting that story take shape. Literature doesn't just show us other people's lives. It helps us see our own a little more clearly.
Hey, hey.